Some roads are paved with memories, some with regrets, and some with vengeance. Tonight we bring you a chilling tale of a family bound not just by love, but by death. This is the story of the Hendersons, a family whose tragic end was only the beginning of a far more terrifying chapter, a tale of retribution from beyond the grave. Settle in, turn off the lights, and listen closely, for the Hendersons are watching. It was supposed to be a peaceful evening drive. Richard and Emily Henderson, along with their 2 children, Liam and Sophie, were on their way home from a weekend trip. The storm had rolled in fast, casting the highway in darkness. Richard gripped the wheel tightly, his knuckles white. Richard panicked. "I can barely see a thing. The rain's coming down too hard." Emily, reassuring. "Just go slow, honey. We'll be okay." But fate had other plans. As Richard carefully maneuvered the slick road, headlights appeared in the rearview mirror, bright, unforgiving. A black SUV roared behind them, moving dangerously fast. Liam, nervous. "Dad, that car is getting too close." Sophie, scared. "I don't like this." Narrator. Before Richard could react, the SUV slammed into their rear bumper. Once, twice, and then a final brutal hit. The Hendersons' car spiraled out of control, flipping over the guardrail. It tumbled down the embankment, landing in a mangled heap at the bottom of the ravine. Silence followed. Then, nothing. Authorities arrived to find the wreckage. No survivors. A tragic accident, they said. A simple case of reckless driving. The driver of the SUV, never found. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. But the Hendersons knew the truth, and they were not about to let it rest. Ethan Carter had been drinking that night. He and his friends, laughing, speeding down the road in his black SUV, never stopping to check the wreck they had caused. He thought he had gotten away with it, until... Ethan. What the hell? The radio in his apartment crackled to life, though it had been off. Through the static, a child's voice whispered, "Sophie, why didn't you stop?" Ethan. "Who said that?" The room went ice cold, shadows lengthened. In the reflection of his window, he saw them, the Hendersons, pale, broken, watching him. Ethan. "No, this isn't real." Ethan barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them, their pale faces staring at him, accusing. He turned on every light in his apartment, but the shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls. His phone rang at 3:33 a.m. "Unknown number," he answered. Silence. Then the sound of children laughing. "Sophie, we see you." The next day, Ethan tried to go about his routine. But every reflection he passed held something wrong. His shadow moved a second too late. The mirrors showed shapes that weren't there. At work, his computer screen flickered. The words "murderer" appeared flashing before the screen went dark. Ethan, no, this is just in my head. Ethan stopped leaving his apartment. Every time he stepped outside, headlights would appear in the distance, blinding. No car, just the lights. His food spoiled overnight, maggots writhing in his refrigerator. The air grew thick with the scent of burnt rubber and blood. And the whispers. Always the whispers. "Liam, why didn't you help us?" Ethan. I didn't mean to." Days turned to weeks. Ethan stopped eating, stopped sleeping. His apartment was a wreck. Mirrors shattered, walls scratched raw. His nails were broken, fingers bloody from clawing at unseen horrors. He screamed at nothing, at everything. Ethan, deranged laughter. "They're not real. They're not real." But the Hendersons knew the truth, and now, so did he. On the final night, Ethan stood at the edge of his balcony, his eyes hollow, his face gaunt. A voice whispered, not from the room, but from inside his head. Richard, time to pay. The newspapers reported a tragic suicide, a man driven mad by guilt. But those who knew, those who had heard the whispers, they knew Ethan Carter did not jump. He was pushed. Justice does not rest, and neither do the dead. If you ever find yourself on a lonely highway and bright lights appear behind you, beware, for some ghosts do not seek peace. They seek revenge. Sleep well, if you can.